My name is Rob MacDonald. I am 58 years old. Head office of our company is in Vancouver, Canada. Before I started in business at all, I was, after high school, growing up in Vancouver, Canada, I went to the University of British Columbia. I got a degree in Commerce and Business Administration. And my original intention at UBC was to be involved in finance and tax. But I made a change kind of late in the game and went into the real estate field. Just because I felt it would be more interesting and where I could, just frankly make more money than being an accountant. And we buy buildings. I buy buildings where I think there's some upside potential. We run those buildings we think well, and then over time, hopefully we make some money on them. So that's essentially what I do. So I got a job out of university with a commercial real estate agency, selling commercial real estate. Kind of learned the business over a few years working there. Then I joined one of my clients who was in the business of buying existing real estate assets in major urban centers of the United States, and then bringing in equity from investors and holding those buildings for a number of years and trying to buy in cities that they thought had some upside potential. So I worked there for 3 years, enjoyed it immensely, learned a lot about acquiring mostly apartment buildings and then operating them and fixing them up, etc. And then after 3 years, they offered to make me a partner in the firm. And but at that time, I decided, well, as much as I enjoyed working with these fellows, and they were great guys, that I could go out on my own and do what they were doing, because I loved doing that business. And I could do it, and I could raise money to buy buildings and essentially follow the same business plan that they had. And I could make a lot more money. So, the reason that I went out on my own is simply that I thought I could make more money without having to share between 3 or 4 guys. I could earn it all myself. And that's the reason why I went out on my own, just so I could make a few bucks, and it's worked out rather well. There is some entrepreneurial achievements that I am quite proud of. We have had an opportunity to work with a variety of different governments in different areas to create major community benefits. These would be things like building community parks. We've owned quite a bit of property along rivers and streams, and so we would donate that property to the government to try to enhance and sustain, say, salmon habitat or this kind of thing. In downtown Vancouver, we bought some property right adjacent to an existing subway line, but where there was no universal handicapped access. So as part of the development that we did there, we built a whole new subway station with handicapped access, so that people in walkers and wheelchairs, etc., could gain access to the subway system. So in building that facility, we saved the government about $30 million of money that they would have had to otherwise spend had they built that subway station. And we felt good about it because we aided people that had that weren't particularly mobile. We built a school of musical excellence in downtown Vancouver, where members of the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra could teach music and where students could learn all about music. And that school now has been built by us, given to the government, and we also endowed it with a couple $1 million of cash to get it going, and now has 1,350 students, and it provides a place where members of the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra can teach and earn a few extra dollars themselves. So it's a real win-win accomplishment. There's always challenges of every type in business. Sometimes crazy things happen. wars sometimes start, and that causes the market to go into turmoil. Completely crazy things happen, like terrorists fly planes into buildings. That stops the market. There can be a major market correction and a crash. So financing can be hard to obtain. I mean, that certainly happened in 2008. So it can become very difficult to do for a while. Having said that, every time that there's a major calamity, on the other side of that calamity, there's usually great buying opportunities. So calamities aren't all bad. Dealing with personnel is always an issue. Being able to hire the right staff is critical. The right senior executives is critical. And even if somebody's not working out, you got to understand that you got to either move them or let them go. So working with good people is absolutely key. Not just the people on your own team, but the third parties that you'd hire, whether it's your lawyers or your accountants or your tax professionals. Having good people around you, surrounding you, helping you move the ball forward. That is critical. And it is actually a big challenge getting the right people on your team. How do you overcome things? You move on. You just keep moving forward. You know, you try to stay positive. You stay enthusiastic. That's how you overcome challenges. And you deal with things immediately. You don't let things fester. If there's a problem, you deal with it. In fact, you put it on the top of your list to deal with and just get things off your desk that way. Make sure, absolutely ensure, that you have a business plan that makes sense. There's all kinds of business plans that you think make sense, but that ultimately don't. I mean, so many businesses fail for so many different reasons. You're going to have to work extremely hard. What does extremely hard mean? It often means not 40 hours a week, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Get up early, work late, work on the weekends. You can't have bad habits. You can't be a big boozer, a drug user, because that's just going to take your mind and your focus off what you really need to do, which is to ensure your business succeeds. So entrepreneurs have to be prepared to work very long hours. And as part of that, you got to love what you do. I mean, if you don't love what you do, then it would just be drudgery. If you absolutely love what you do, then you don't mind working long hours, because your work also becomes your hobby. It's what you really, really enjoy doing. Fortunately for me, I've always absolutely loved what I do, and so working the very long hours I never considered it a hardship. It was always a pleasure. When you're starting up a business, most people don't start with a whole lot of money. Most people start with very little money. So access to capital is key. Bringing in the right kind of partners is key. If they're providing capital, having lenders that will work with you, that you trust them, they trust you, that they're not going to pull the rug out from under you when there's a bump in the road or something. That's critically important as well. So I'd say that's about it.